2, and we're here for a work session. And as always, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Tim, can you please take the lead?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. And I have a couple of quick announcements for today regarding the upcoming holiday events around taking place around Riverhead. Tonight at 6 p.m., we encourage you all to join the Jamesport Fire Department in their tree lighting at the gazebo at the George Young Community Center on Main Road and south of Jamesport Avenue. And Santa's going to be there with fire trucks, and there's going to be hot cocoa being served. And moving along this Saturday, all are encouraged to participate in the Rudolph First River Run. It's a 4-mile run or walk beginning at Tanga and ending at the town square. Transportation will be provided for participants at the starting line. There will also be a 1K run for children, and hot chocolate and chicken soup are going to be served. Rudolph is not a fair-weathered reindeer. He's charged with making timely deliveries every year, irrespective of the weather, and this race is no different. Rain or shine, the Rudolph River Run is going to take off. Later in the day, beginning at 3:30, weather permitting, the first annual tree lighting at the new town square will take place. A lot of people have been working very hard, and this event has come together, and we're hoping that the weather will cooperate with us. If not, we'll make an announcement. If it is put off, we'll make an announcement on our website later on in the day. And it should be rescheduled for the following day, but please confirm that tomorrow if it is going to be rescheduled. And the rescheduled date will be the following day, which is Sunday, December 4th at 3:30. So again, please check the Riverhead website or the Chamber of Commerce for updated information. Okay, moving on to our first discussion item for today, which is matters surrounding the site plan application for Tomcat Realty, 901 Scott Avenue in Calverton. For this, I'll ask planner Heather to please come forward. Heather, good morning.
Good morning.
Good.
You want the applicant just back here?
Yes, did you want to come forward? Absolutely. And just please introduce yourselves.
Good morning. John Zolo, attorney on behalf of 301 Scott Tomcat. Peter Williams is the owner.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You all know Rob?
Rob Stromsky, architect for the project.
How you doing, Rob?
Doug Adams, engineer.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I did distribute a staff report and copies of the site plan application and the plans that were submitted. If you all had a chance to look over them, I'm just going to give a brief overview of the project. So the planning department has received and reviewed a site plan application proposing to construct a 1-story, 60,000 square foot building for warehousing, manufacturing, and offices, and demolish an existing 14,256 square foot metal building. Related site improvements include on-site parking, outdoor storage, lighting, landscaping, and drainage. The subject parcel, identified as Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-135.20-1-1, is a 14.5 acre site located at 901 Scott Avenue in Calverton. It's lot 27 of the Calverton Camelot 2 subdivision. And it's the lots within Enterprise Park at Calverton, also known as EPCAL, which is an urban renewal area. And as such, the town board is the approving body for the site plan. It's located within PIP zoning use district, which is the planned industrial park, and the manufacturing, warehousing, and office uses are all permitted as of right. The outdoor storage is a permitted accessory use as long as it suitably screens to the extent that provides adequate sound and visual buffers, as may be determined to be necessary by the town board as part of the site plan approval.
Okay.
And just some background on the site, the former owner the property was last used for manufacturing of auto parts, exhaust mufflers by Bambani Racing Industries. And that prior owner did lease portions of the property out. It was overcleared in the areas that I provided in my staff report. You can see at one point The rear of the property was heavily wooded, and then the northwesterly portion, they cleared, it looks like some asphalt or RCA was put down, and there were trailers stored there. So the proposed site plan, they have to adhere to the dimensional regulations as set forth in the Calverton Camelot subdivision.
Right.
Each lot has specific building envelopes. In particular, lot 27, one of the items that would need to be addressed, the area to remain natural required is 305,000 square feet. So as part of this site plan, they are going to allow areas to remain natural and then also allow those overcleared areas to return to the natural state. And those square footages are shown on the site plan. So it'll give them a total yield of 801,000 square feet, which will meet the dimensional requirements. They are not asking for any setback relief. The location of the proposed building does meet all of the setback requirements for structures, but the amount of parking that they have in the front yard of the site exceeds what's allowed in PIP zoning.
Okay.
So they will need a variance for that or redesign. I did provide a denial letter to the applicant. They will also be seeking variances for lighting. Their proposed lighting fixtures do exceed the allowable height. There is some slight light trespass across the property lines to the north and south, so they will need relief for that as well. And I believe, yes, and then a portion of the parking lot is located 15 feet from the property line. Thank you. On the south side of the property, minimum required is 25 feet for parking lots. So those are the 4 items that they would need relief for. The height of the building is 40 feet, which is allowed in the, per the zoning and per the dimensional requirements in the subdivision. As far as the required parking is concerned, based on the square footages of the proposed uses, they would need 111 parking stalls. They are providing 113. But they want to utilize the section of Town Code, Chapter 301, Section 231L, where they, in an event and an applicant can demonstrate that off-site parking required is in excess of the parking demand generated by the use or building proposed, the number of improved parking spaces may be reduced by the board responsible for review, in this case, the town board. And approval upon a finding that any proposed modification shall be sufficient to serve the demand. So in this case, if they use that 2/3 rule, they would need 74 parking stalls, and they're proposing 77 paved stalls. The remaining 36 would be land banked. And the town board should decide whether or not the land banked stalls would be proposed and whether or not they would need to be landscaped or kept as existing vegetation. And then at which point, if more improvements were to be made, they would need an agreement filed. The town attorney would have to approve it, would have to be filed with the county, saying that those land-based stalls would have to be improved at some point, should they be necessary. Let's see, the
How much
proposed-
clearing are we talking about?
I'm sorry?
Is there any clearing?
No.
No clearing.
Actually, we're gonna be doing more, going back to natural vegetation or plantings, because the prior owner cleared a whole bunch of stuff, had a racetrack going on over there. So we're going to be putting more planters in and putting more natural vegetation, so.
So there's no clearing, and
Right,
you're just gonna restore some
Correct.
Yeah,
sensitive areas? That's perfect.
I
Oh,
wanted
it's
to
just- it's
see.
great.
I want to see if the town board wanted, are you gonna require a revegetation plan? I do have an overlay, figure 5. I took an aerial of the existing site and I superimposed the site plan on it. And a portion of the new building and their rear parking area and retaining wall will go over where that overcleared area is, but there is still a significant portion of asphalt that's gonna be back there. And, that should either be broken up or removed so that the area can be able to return to its natural state, or maybe plantings would be required. I did do a site visit a few weeks ago, and the portions that were cleared for the motocross trails have already started to grow back. So I'm not as concerned about those portions of the property. I'm more concerned with the part where there is material on the ground. And the proposed action is a type 1 pursuant to town code, because there are the action involves more than 50 parking stalls. So I did have a resolution put into Minute-Track to classify it as a type 1 action and also begin the coordinated review process amongst involved agencies and request lead agency status. I'm not sure if that's going to be on for the next town board meeting, if we're be on for the second meeting in December. I did identify several agencies that are involved or interested parties. Of course, one of which being the Riverhead Town Board, Town of Riverhead Water District, Town of Riverhead Sewer District, Highway Department, the Town of Riverhead Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Riverhead Building Department, Town of Riverhead Fire Marshal's Office, Suffolk County Planning Commission, the Suffolk County Department of Health Services, because they'll be demolishing and then putting up a new structure, even though they are connected to sewer, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, PSEG, and National Grid. So all of, the outside agencies will have to get referrals and requests for lead agency status. We'll get comments back from them. As I get comments back from the other town agencies, I will forward them to all of the board members and the applicants.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the water district's comments are, just, I see that they're very close by, and I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, there is an existing, I think, a deep
Yeah.
well to the south of the property. I did show that in one of my figures in the staff report. Yeah, plant number 12 is south of the subject parcel.
Okay, so I think we should move with the review. So, anybody have an objection? Moving forward with the review?
Or do you have any concerns? I did, I had some bullet points towards the end, things that should be looked at. If there are any additional things that anyone here wants me to make note of, that can be fleshed out during the review process.
Just to address some of the comments that have been made, it is our intention to remove any material in that area to be left to go back to a natural state. So we would remove any material to go back to an exposed earth. We feel that with the amount of natural vegetation that's there, like what's happened with the trails that were made for motocross and so forth, the owner of the property, Mr. Williams, had decided to put up a fence on the perimeter of the property just so that no more motocross people would try and use the trails again.
Because they were.
Sure.
So once he
Mitch
put
was
that,
not sleeping well at night with that running back there.
so once he put those fences up and that area was left undisturbed, as you can see, the vegetation does start to grow back fairly quickly, just with the nature of what's there. We feel that that area would probably just go back to a natural state fairly quickly. One of the things, we have had discussions with Michael Reichel from the sewer district. He just informed us that we have to submit a separate application. The current building that is there does have a water usage. We don't feel that the proposed building, even though it's bigger, would have pretty much more of a water usage than what's currently being done. Out of the 60,000 square feet, we're proposing 4,565 square feet of office space. So it's generally where the water usage would be from the minimal staff that would be there. Most of that building is actually going to be manufacturing. Essentially, this property is under Tomcat Really, but the company is Eastern Wholesale Fence, which this board is familiar with.
Yes, yes.
They have the property at 301 Scott Avenue. So the intention for this building is they're going to take the PVC material that is extruded at that plant, bring it here, and then fabricate it into fence sections. So the idea is that, you're going to be utilizing the property, two different properties, making that similar product. So, and essentially, the variances that we're applying for here are the same type of variances that we applied for at 301 and were granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So we don't feel that there's going to be any adverse effects to the surrounding areas based on the variances that we're looking for, and we think that we're well within reason for the requests that we have. So, just in nature, the traffic patterns are going to be, the material is going to be brought from 301 to this facility to fabricate, and then the same trucking that was shipping things out is essentially what's been going on. So we don't even think that there's going to be a major impact. As far as traffic, a lot of that traffic is kind of existing because of the nature of the business at 301.
And actually, Les, because some of the fabrication that we're doing now is already being done in Medford, so we're actually bringing that process back to Calverton instead of having to ship out raw material to Medford and, you know, and then back, you know, to finish up, so definitely a big help. And we cleaned up the property a lot. I don't know if you saw that property before I bought it,
Oh, yeah.
but I spent about $45,000 cleaning that property.
Well, thank you
Yeah,
for
it
being
was
a
a
good
mess.
neighbor.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
Okay, any questions?
No, this is exactly what the PIP was set up for, and this is a perfect use for it. You've been a great facility to have up there over the years, so I completely favor what you're looking to do.
Thank you.
And the only thing that we would ask is if, as Heather had stated, if we could get the resolution for the determination for secret. We do have the denial letter. We have an application ready to submit to the zoning board of appeals. We would just like that determination to be made, so once we,
I don't have a problem trying to get it up for the next board
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyone
Appreciate
else?
Not a
No, we don't
problem.
have a problem with that, so
Thank you very much.
We
we'll
appreciate that.
work with building department, work with deputy town attorney who's charged with the resolutions and moving it forward, under my direction, obviously, but, so, where's Jeff? Jeff knows what to do,
Okay,
okay?
thank
we
you so much.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Have a good day and.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Thank you.
Positive, happy Festivus to the rest of the.
Great. Thank you, Heather. Good job.
Thank you.
This is your first
Feels better
presentation?
now that it's over.
Excellent job.
You were really good.
Yes, Heather.
That was the first?
Yes.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Also,
think
he's
she
a great
did-
musician,
Yeah.
I say, so,
Oh.
take care, buddy.
Okay. Again, thank you, Heather. And next, we're going to invite Greg Berman to come forward to discuss matters surrounding site plan application for mixed-use building at 203-213 East Main Street in Riverhead. And Greg, good morning.
I don't know how many people we're gonna have up here, but
Party, Greg.
yeah, I know, we
Yes.
might not have enough seats.
Okay. Here's a familiar face, Mr. Munchnick. So, you guys can just introduce yourselves, please?
So good morning,
Good
Madam
morning.
Supervisor.
Hi.
My name is John Wagner. I'm an attorney representing the applicant today.
And can the other members introduce themselves?
Alec Ornstein, partners with Rob on the project. Please approval.
I'm Chick Voorhees of Nelson Pope Voorhees.
Hi, how are you?
Great, good to see you,
How's the
Supervisor.
music coming?
Always good.
Come and see you.
And I am Evan Yan, EDI International Architects.
All right.
One more.
One more. Chris Voorhees, Nelson Pope Engineering, project engineer. So-
Okay. Great.
All right, so this is an amended site plan application. We're just seeking to develop 4 vacant parcels of land on East Main Street with a 5-story mixed-use building consisting of below-grade and first-floor parking, as well as retail, utility, and amenity space on that first floor, and a total of 165 residential apartment units on floors 2 through 5. The breakdown in terms of the apartment space, there will be 52 studio units, 81 bedroom units, and 33 two-bedroom units. There's a total of 155 parking stalls. There's going to be 86 parking stalls in the cellar level, 69 parking stalls on the ground level. There'll be approximately 5,800 square feet of retail, amenity, leasing, and lobby area along East Main Street on the first floor, and approximately 2,000 square feet of amenity space on the south side of the building, which will likely be gym space for the tenants. And there's also going to be a loading area and a trash area on the south side of the building. The project site comprises 4 parcels, totaling approximately 1.4 acres, which is on the south side of East Main Street. Property is bordered on the west side by the East End Arts property and a 5-story mixed-use building at 221 East Main Street directly to the east. It fronts on the town-owned parking lot along Heidi Bear Way to the south, and across East Main Street on the north side, you've got the Riverhead United Methodist Church, as well as a single-family residence, which is the DeRosca residence. The site was previously developed with single-story commercial buildings, which previously housed Sears, East End Gospel Church. It was a workers' comp office there, among others, throughout the years. So this application is it's kind of a continuation. This application was submitted a number of years ago. It did undergo a pretty thorough level of secret review. I think at this point, Tim, you were probably the only member on the board who was on the board at that time. It was classified as a type 1 action. It was issued a positive declaration by the town board back in May of 2018. They did have a public scoping session that was held in October of 2018. A final scope pursuant to secret was adopted in November of 2018. There was a draft environmental impact statement. There was a small error on my report. The DEIS was initially submitted by the applicant in August of 2019. At that point, the DEIS that was submitted was deemed inadequate for review, so it never went to a public hearing. Kind of stalled there at that point. In the interim, there was a number of meetings and revisions to the plans. One of the most significant hurdles that we were facing was fire apparatus access.
Yes,
That was hashed out through the fire marshal's office. Previous versions of the plans had an access roadway along the west side, but there were portions of the building which extended over that. Obviously, the fire department doesn't want to fight a fire from underneath a burning building. So in the interim, the plans have removed the portions of the building over the fire apparatus access road. So they do provide 26 feet clear space along that western side, which will go from Main Street back to the town parking lot. They've also reduced the number of dwelling units from 170 to 165. There's been an increase in the number of on-site parking stalls provided from 88 to 155. They've done significant changes to the building design, massing, materials, and layout. So there was the question of, the procedural, secret procedure on this. Being that this is essentially a new town board that's reviewing it, there have been significant revisions. We haven't really had any formal resubmission now for almost 3 years. I'm recommending to just kind of go through the secret coordination process again. Again, these are not significant timeframes. We're talking a 30-day coordination period. A bulk of the draft scope would be prepared already. A bulk of the DEIS is already done. So the heavy lifting, so to speak, would be done. It's just getting these procedural, milestones and make sure we're following secret properly. So I would recommend to just re-coordinate, send out new coordination letters to involved agencies. Like I said, things to be studied. The DEIS did cover a number of them, but specifically capacity for the Riverhead Water District to serve the proposed development, the sewer district, traffic impacts at specific intersections along East Main Street and the Heidi Bear Way, potential impacts to neighboring structures from the pile driving activity, storm and flooding resiliency, limiting access to the riverfront parking based on increased demand from the residential units, impacts to the Riverhead Central School District, additional demand for public services, including police, fire, emergency services, and impacts to community character. In terms of compliance with zoning, there are no dimensional relief. There's no relief that's sought from the Zoning Board of Appeals. It does comply with the DC1 zoning district. Based on the revisions to the plans, they did incorporate a number of the elements from the Downtown Riverhead Pattern Book, which was adopted by the town board in January 2021. Although those specific elements from the pattern book have yet to be codified in the town code, they did incorporate a number of them. Among them, and most significantly, along the East Main Street frontage, they did incorporate setbacks on the upper floors on the fourth and fifth floor. So the fourth floor is set back approximately 8 feet from the main building plane along East Main Street. That fifth floor is set back an additional 16 feet from the fourth floor. So you're talking from the East Main Street frontage to the fifth floor, that's a 24-foot setback. And they did incorporate similar setbacks along the fire apparatus access road. So that fourth floor setback is 7 feet, and then the fifth floor is set back an additional 6 feet for a total of 13 feet. That does significantly help visual impacts, building massing along East Main Street. That's really what the pattern book was adopted to try and provide. They are providing significant sidewalks along East Main Street, which include a 5-foot wide stamped and colored concrete sidewalk, which will mimic the existing brick sidewalk. And they are proposing a 3-foot wide sidewalk along that western fire aerial apparatus access road. That 3-foot does appear to comply with accessibility standards, but I did note that one of the sheets on the site plan indicates that the natural gas connection will be coming in on that northwest corner of the building. Now, this was something that I recently saw it became an issue on 331 East Main Street. When they put their gas meters on the west side of the building, there were steel safety bollards that need to be, installed in front of it. Those bollards were basically in the middle of the sidewalk. So now if you've got a 3-foot sidewalk and you've got a gas meter coming off the building and bollards, you probably reduce the sidewalk by at least, 1.5 feet or 2 feet. So it's just something the applicant can fine tune that. What they did at 331, they kind of created a recessed alcove for that gas main. It's something that now that we know, we can get ahead of it rather than kind of redesign and do a lot of field work. Like I said, in terms of parking, they are providing 155 stalls. Right now, the current code does not require an applicant to provide parking stalls on site because they're located within the parking district number 1. Under the current standards for the town code, parking requires 1.5 stalls per dwelling unit. At that rate, the site and its proposed development would require 271 stalls. However, the parking study that was adopted by the town board a couple of years ago, that did make some recommendations in terms of minimum, maximum parking requirements for residential units. Those were broken out, studio and 1-bedroom, and then there was separate parking classifications for 2-bedroom and multifamily. If the board were to apply those standards, the minimum number of stalls required would be 99, the maximum would be 173. So they're providing 155, they're kind of right in the middle, kind of like right in that sweet spot if the board were going on those parking study recommendations. Just a couple of additional considerations: construction, staging areas. Based on the build out of the site, the applicant needs to identify where they're going to be storing materials, construction trailers, employee, construction worker parking, etc. We did get comments back from the fire marshal and the town engineer. The fire marshal found that 26-foot was acceptable. They had some comments. I just got them this morning, so I'll provide them to the applicant. Nothing significant. A couple of things dealing with radio relays within the building and just general construction. They are proposing connection to the Riverhead Sewer District. There is a 20-foot wide sewer main which traverses the properties in an east to west direction. They are proposing to connect to that sewer easement, and they are going to install a 12-inch redundant backup sewer main parallel to that, and that was consistent with what we did with 221 East Main Street right next to it. Proposed exterior lighting complies with code. They are going to provide an updated title report to see if there's any restrictive covenants, but I wouldn't expect any to have come up. And again, so new existing project, significant revisions, just here to get the board's feedback, give them an update on it, and the recommendation would be to re-coordinate SECRA. Again, not just now that I'm reviewing it, several hands have touched this before. I would feel more comfortable if I'm reviewing it from start to finish that we make sure we follow these procedural guidelines.
Okay.
No, my only concerns
Yeah.
through the years were that the staging area be appropriate and that the pounding of I know that was a big concern for the church across the street and several of the other neighbors, so as long as that can be mitigated.
And that did come up during
Process.
331. They use, rather than traditional hammer-driven piles, 331 East Main Street use, I believe it's called a geo-pile. They basically put, concrete aggregate in and kind of pound it in, like in lifts. So that is that it would be an alternative to the traditional hammer-driven style piles.
Those were the lingering concerns from the last time I heard this application, but
I just want to point out to the board, this group worked with planning, fire marshal, and us for like, let's say it was 6 straight months. We met regularly. Barry Long has had significant input into this design, which is pattern book compliant. I think we had a great working condition between all of us, and they
Absolutely, I mean, I don't wanna, I don't wanna seem like there's any significant objections from this side. I mean, it's been a very good working relationship since I've been involved in it. So, I mean,
Finally, because
yeah.
how long has this project lingered on?
Yeah,
Rob had just graduated high school. He came and presented this to us.
And now he has grades. So,
graduated?
what's the condition of the lot right now?
it's kind of overgrown, which, I mean, could probably
That's
just
where I'm going.
kind of take a,
Any
probably.
possibility to clean it up? It's on Main Street, and for example, we have all kinds of events. This Saturday or Sunday, depending on the weather, we're gonna have our holiday lighting. We're expecting a lot of people visiting the restaurants. Or even if you can just cover it up, there's some type of,
They had it covered up, and then the cover kind of blew up, and they're not currently the owner, so we've.
so we can reach out to the owner?
Yes, we've been
We
working,
will.
we did
Good,
get the
if
cover,
you don't mind.
the roof
Not at
was
all.
all torn up, and then I just sent them an email not long ago
Yeah,
asking for that.
and it's about time,
Yeah.
because I've gotten a lot of complaints on it. You're bringing a beautiful project forward, and then you look at the lot, then it'd be nice if they can take care of that, so.
We'll make sure that they do.
Thank you.
We'll make sure.
Quicker we get the shovel in the ground. You said 30 days for some secret, then what, we can start to get going?
I mean, shovel in the ground, we're not really talking shovel in the ground right at this moment, but I mean, they've made significant strides, that the path is set forward. I mean, there's not a significant hurdle. And again, the project's been around now for probably 5 years, so I mean, if we're talking procedural elements to add maybe 60 to 90 days, I don't really think that 60 or 90 days would be a significant hurdle for something that's been around for 5 or maybe 6 years,
Well,
right?
okay. Any other remarks?
I just want to say that the visuals on this are the best looking yet that you've presented, by far. And I think the work with the pattern book, with the setbacks on the 4th and 5th floor. I just have a quick question about the height of the elevator shaft. I can't, without a magnifying glass, there's no way I'm
It's
going to find
about
it.
69 feet to the height of the elevator shaft,
Okay.
but those are not like, elevator bulkheads, stairwell bulkheads are excluded from
Right.
contributing to the building.
Understood.
So the top of I think the top, to the top roof, I believe it's 55 feet,
Okay.
and that's from the East Main Street frontage. And that was something I did speak with Craig Zidek, the fire marshal. He was concerned about just what the overall height would be from the lowest point of fire apparatus access. From the south end, I think it was right around 65 or 68, so it didn't kick it into that high-rise definition.
No, and it's not, the slope of that property is nowhere near what the project next door was. Their slope was much greater. This is more of a level piece of property.
Yeah, and again, that elevator bulkhead is set back significantly.
I see
mean,
that.
I don't think you really have any visual impact on that from East Main Street or any kind of vantage points.
One thing if I could mention is the time constraint. It seems like it's been a long time. A lot of that time was COVID related, where town hall was closed, we couldn't meet, we were, trying to meet with the fire marshal, et cetera, et cetera. So we were all trying to work it through, and then subsequent to that, Dawn was very helpful in trying, arranging those
Well, she
meetings.
came on board.
Yes,
And-
well,
and-
yes, thanks to you. But so a lot of that time period, we were kind of stuck on the sidelines because we couldn't proceed. But now, we certainly want to proceed with all diligence and speed.
I agree with Timmy, the renderings here are very, very
Beautiful.
handsome. Yep. I think it'll look nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
Those renderings, as
Wow,
Dawn.
I'm seeing you smile.
Has ARB seen this?
Rob?
The shovel goes in the ground, okay? I just want to, only when the shovel goes in the ground, so I can
Oh,
come
we'll
down and
know.
shake your hand, okay?
We will. Well, good job, finally. We're gonna move forward. Great.
As Dawn indicated earlier, I mean, these designs that you both complimented, and I thank you for that, are the product of an extensive dialogue back and forth. We've done everything we could possibly do within reason to comply with the spirit of the pattern book, and that's what you see today. So.
So, right, you haven't gone to the architectural review board yet. We'll wait till after that.
Well.
Hopefully they don't change anything there, because I like that.
So, I just wanted to say something about.
Well, we can override them. They're just
No, understood,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
advisory.
We can override them if we feel that this is, they make recommendations to us, but they don't have the final say on the projects. And they do a good job to a certain extent, but
The fire road is between the Gallo project and
No, it's
No, it's on the west side.
between the East End Arts.
Which is also.
It's on the west side.
So
there-
is this gonna be directly against the Gallo project?
Yeah, right, it's gonna,
Yeah, there's a slight separation on the, just parts of the building on the Main Street side and the rear part touch, as Chris is pointing out, but there's a separation there for the units.
These two areas touch, and there's a gap in between.
and just what, on the west side, are you gonna be is that the existing retaining wall along East End Arts? You're gonna,
That's a new retaining wall to match the grades. We have, two entrances to the multi-level parking, and to adjust with that, to meet those in the right locations, the wall will have to be reconstructed.
Okay, good job. Thank
I just
you.
wanted to say something about the seeker issue that's been raised.
Okay.
Which is, as the board is probably aware, seeker is a game of rules. The regulations are very specific about how the process is to be conducted. And the purpose of coordinated review is initially, it happens very early in the process. The purpose is to basically determine who the lead agency is going to be when you have coordinated review. And that process was completed here, and the lead agency, of course, is the town board. And the lead agency has actually gone beyond that initial step and has made a determination of significance, which is the positive declaration that was issued back in 2018. So we're actually quite advanced in the process at this point. We're in the midst of the DEIS process. The next thing to happen is that the DEIS will have to be deemed adequate for public review, complete and adequate, and then it's scheduled for public hearing, and then we have comments on that. It's important to note that in that process, with the DEIS, once it's accepted and is ready for review, it goes to all of the involved agencies. So every involved agency that's been identified will have a chance to see these latest plans, and the DEIS will be based on the latest plans. They'll see them, and they'll have all opportunity to comment during the DEIS hearings and even in writing. So there's no question about that. I would be very reluctant. In fact, I would not want to do it at all, to go back in time. Because one of the problems with that is, like I said, the secret rules are very precise. You're supposed to follow them strictly. It's one of the few things in the law where you must have strict compliance with the rules. There is nothing in the secret regulations that provides for re-coordinating after you've already done that step. If we were to do that, we'd be running afoul of the rules, and that could create legal problems down the road. I don't think we want to go down that road. So I would urge that we are right now, we're preparing a new DEIS, Chick can tell you about that is based upon this new evolved plan, which is the product of a lot of work, and it will examine all the impacts that were originally identified in the positive declaration and in the final scope that was prepared, before that. So I think that I just disagree with the recommendation we go back and re-coordinate. Like I say, I think that if the purpose is to provide updated information to the agencies, they will receive all of that when we actually give them the DEIS with all the plans attached.
And I think the original scope was larger, right? The number of units was larger, so this
That's
is
correct.
actually
Right.
a little bit less in size, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So you have less of an impact. I stand with you on this. I don't know how not to go against our planning department, but I don't know why we have to go backwards to go forwards.
I think it's something that you can discuss with them.
Yeah, okay.
Supervisor, I just had a couple of remarks. Again, Chick Voorhees of NPV. I've been the primary author of all of the environmental documents that have gone to the town,
Okay.
and started with this in 2016, so it gives you some idea of the time frame. I've attended all the meetings. I really want to thank you for assigning Dawn and really helping us through this process. Meeting with the fire marshal gave us the ability to, cut right to the chase and solve a lot of things. And we have met with Barry Long, and that's why these renderings are so beautiful. So it really has come out as a good project at the end of this process, and I want to compliment you and thank you for that. We're looking forward to completing the secret process. As Councilman Kern mentioned, you know, the shortest possible time frame is our goal as well. We certainly want to meet all of the seeker requirements, and I fully agree with John. John and I have spoken about how best to conduct the seeker process. It's really the applicant that has the risk here, but we want to minimize risk and do everything correctly. So I have had some of those conversations with both Jeff and with Greg, and we'll work through that. We are looking at the key items that are in Greg's staff report. All of those items that he identified as potential impacts. We're updating economic and fiscal analysis, employment numbers and benefits, school district numbers and benefits, tax revenue, traffic study. We're doing additional traffic counts. Again, we don't want the documentation to be stale. We want a good, up-to-date document that will provide you a basis for a sound decision on this. So we'll work with the town staff. We also have Chris here if there are any further detailed questions on the engineering. We're prepared to show you all of the new plans, but I think you get a sense. We have Evan Yan here from the architect's office as well, and he prepared these renderings. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Jeff, did you have something to say?
Absolutely. This has been at least 4 years since the public and you have seen this, and I think most of you, except for Councilman Hubbard, is the only one who has seen the prior version 4 years ago. We have retained Jeff Seaman on this project to help us with the environmental review. This is the largest project in the history of the downtown area. We want to make sure that the public has full vision and transparency of all the documentation, not only the public, but also all the other involved agencies that are going to be reviewing this project. This project has changed. We have spoken with Jeff Seaman about this. He shares Greg and my concern about trying to shorten the length of the review process. We understand what the applicant has said. We would like to reserve our recommendation to you until we've had the opportunity to speak with council and House first before we make a formal recommendation to you. But it's been 4 years since we've last picked this up, and it's not like it was just a few months ago. It's been a significant amount of time that has transpired. So we ask that you not make a decision on this today, and then give us time to work with the applicant and Jeff Seaman on going forward with the secret review process.
I think we should take Dawn's recommendation and do an internal review on our end, speak to council, speak to the board members, and so we're gonna I think I wanna leave that open until we have further information. I don't know how the board feels. So we're gonna leave that open, that component open, and we'll make a determination and advise the planning board,
Well,
the planning department as to, you know, where we stand on that particular issue.
We'll work through the procedural, but generally, the board seems supportive of revisions in the project so far.
Correct.
Yes,
All right.
I
definitely.
wanted to take this opportunity, Rob and I are considering adding another partner to the project, which would be Heatherwood Communities. And they're here also, so I just wanted to introduce Doug Partridge, who's a principal, Chris Capis, president, and Sean Sally, who works with them. Just wanted to acknowledge them in the front row there.
Okay, great. Well, I'm sure we can get back to you. Jeff and Dawn, about how long would this take, you think? Within a week?
Yeah.
I think hopefully we're gonna give you time to make a determination within a week.
Great,
I think
thank
that's
you, you did a
reasonable.
lot, I know you did a lot of hard work on it.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day and happy
Appreciate
holidays.
it very much.
Happy holidays.
Great to see you all.
Thank you very much. See you too. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
big
Well, it's a big
project.
project.
Where you guys going for breakfast? One of our local restaurants?
Yeah, on Main Street.
Dawn, thank you for getting involved in this.
Oh, sure. Well, it's been a collaborative effort.
Mitch Pally,
congratulations on your
retirement again.
Yes, congratulations.
The project has,
Very successful
gotten
career.
You're not going there too far. You know that.
You're the chief of police, you should handcuff him to that.
No, I already gave him a project today. All right, so moving on to our last discussion. We're going to invite Chief Hegemiller regarding a traffic safety review. Good morning, Chief.
How is everybody?
Morning, Chief.
Good, Chief, how are you?
I thought I was here for exec session. Okay, Meeting House Creek Road
Okay.
ends, the southern terminus is at the water, the bay, the river, whatever you want to call it there. There's a short piece of road that is parking by permit only, and it attracts a lot of people down there. Some good, not so, and some not so good. So, and basically, after hours, I would say is probably the not good share. So,
I think they're also doing some fishing down there
they're doing
at
fishing
night.
rides, fishing, clamming, shellfish, the whole 9 yards, so,
Is that just east of the Meeting House Deli?
yeah,
No, it's all the way down the end.
Oh, all the way down.
Right where it runs into
Right.
Meeting House Creek.
as
Okay.
you're going south past the marina, just
Yep.
keep on
Now I know
going
what you're
straight down.
talking
I think it's
We-
Pine
We
Street
call it
that crosses
Hucklebuck
it.
Park, I don't know if it's
Right.
still called that.
It is.
But that's the area we're talking about. So the residents are very concerned with the goings-on, and we've kind of thought about it for a long time. It's been a chronic problem on and off over the years. I think a good solution would be to gate it off, sort of like Bayberry, where it's gated, so during the day, maybe there's access, and then after hours at night and stuff like that, the gate would be locked.
Who would
And people out of there.
be in charge of
Well,
doing that?
Mrs. Guthrie does it for us
Right.
in Bayberry, so I would hope one of the residents down there who's very concerned about it would take over that responsibility.
Have you spoken to them about that, or?
Yeah, they want it definitely barricaded, so the gate has been discussed.
They've
I-
attended your meetings, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
several meetings.
Yeah, so they are aware of the whole situation.
Right. I mean, we advertise it as an access point to the bay, I guess. I don't know if that's, maybe we should think about that too. I know we advertise a lot of our beach fronts on the recreation website. Maybe we want to cut that down to only the beaches that have lifeguard services.
Town beaches.
Right. Because a lot of our
Yeah, I would.
beaches that are listed on there are just dead ends of roads
That's
that
right.
went into the water, so we should really kind of shy people away from those areas.
Sounds like a smart plan.
Yeah, no, I think it's a decent plan. Originally, we thought about barricading it completely off, but I think the gated access would still allow people during the daytime to enjoy it, so.
Well, clamming's not allowed there anytime.
Right, not all right,
It's a closed
shellfish is shut
shellfishing
down,
area.
so.
Are there signs that say no clamming? Or, you know?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't remember seeing any.
And
down there
even
the
the
other day.
access to the beach there is iffy at best, so,
Right.
I mean, it's got a bulkhead and there's some steps
There
to
isn't
get
much
down.
of a beach there, is it?
Not much of a beach at all,
And when
no.
high tide comes in,
Correct, then you don't probably have any beach.
yeah.
Fishermen do use it though.
Yeah. Yeah. They're concerned about, they say there's a group that comes in the middle of the night to do shellfishing, and,
For sale?
727-4500.
right, exactly. And we're down there a lot, so,
Is there a fine for taking clams out of there?
I'm sure
Oh,
there's a, yeah.
So do we
It's a
need to put,
closed shellfishing area.
Right.
You're not
So-
allowed to take any out.
should we be posting something that, you know, and what the
DEC
fine
should
is
definitely
if
be
you
posting
caught?
something.
DEC should, yes, I agree.
Oh, okay,
That's
so
their
it's DEC.
jurisdiction.
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
touch
can you
base.
notify them?
Yep.
This way it becomes real easy for us, you know, for the police to enforce it, right?
Right.
If the sign's there and the fine is clear, those shellfish and clean up the bed.
I shouldn't say this publicly, but it's loaded with clams down there.
Okay.
But they're not safe to eat according to DEC
Right,
standards,
that's
so.
why it's closed.
I grew up on those clams as a kid, that's why I turned into what I am.
Great.
Okay?
Thanks, Chief.
So we'll move forward with
you.
maybe a public hearing or something to that effect to do that? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or just do
No,
it?
I think you better do a
Right,
public
we're
hearing.
changing
the
Other
road,
neighbors
so-
that maybe aren't
Yeah.
aware or whatever.
Okay,
Good.
very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please stay
Thanks,
seated
Chief.
or someone else come.
No, we're good.
You good? I'm coming back for exec.
Okay.
We gotta do resolutions first.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief. And this is going to conclude our discussion items. And Devin, can you please come forward and read the resolutions, please?
Good morning.
Good morning, Evan.
Everybody ready?
Yes.
Resolution number 1 appoints a call-in mini bus driver. Number 2 ratifies the resignation of a justice court clerk. Number 3 amends the resignation of a homemaker. Number 4 appoints a temporary office assistant to the tax receiver's office. Number 5 approves request for a leave of absence. Number 6 accepts the retirement of a justice court director. Number 7 amends resolution number 2202-804. Number 8 appoints a part-time traffic control specialist. Number 9 authorizes extension of time to remit real property taxes for senior citizens receiving enhanced STAR pursuant to Section 425 or Section 467 of New York State RPTI. Number 10, Water District Capital Project 82126 budget adjustment. Number 11, Water District budget transfer. Number 12, appoints automotive equipment operator. Number 13, appoints automotive equipment operator. Number 14, appoints automotive equipment operator.
All three of those are for the highway department to replace staff that are retiring and extra staff to help with the EPCAL roads.
Number 15, appoints a networks and systems specialist 2. Number 16, appoints a maintenance mechanic 2. Number 17, Water District Capital Project number 82229, Restaurant Depot budget adoption. Number 18, declares public emergency nunc-pro-tunc regarding Highway Department main salt barn. Number 19, Water District budget transfer. Number 20, awards bid for general hardware items. Number 21, budget transfer for Justice Court. Number 22, submission of grant application to Suffolk County for program year 2023 Community Development Block Grant Funding. Number 23, awards bid for traffic signal emergency repair and additional work as authorized 2022 to 2023. Number 24, authorize town clerk to publish and post notice to amend Chapter 301 supplementary regulations to include anaerobic digesters. Number 25, notice to schedule a public hearing to amend Chapter...
There's a typo in this resolution.
I think building took care of it, but we'll double check it.
Okay, so for the, when it comes back
They
up.
took care of it, Matt's signaling. I changed it this morning.
Okay.
They changed it.
Number 25, notice to schedule a public hearing to amend Chapter 301 zoning and land development, Article, Frank, come on, you know I need help. 39, thank you. To allow outdoor and indoor sports and recreational uses and facilities as permitted uses and to allow accessory retail uses within the planned industrial park PIP zoning use district. Number 26, establishes time of regular meetings of the town board. Number 27, establishes time of regular meetings of the Community Development Agency, and those are, of course, both for 2023 coming up. And number 28, accepts donation of outdoor Christmas lights from National Grid.
And I just want to make a point, we want to thank National Grid. When Jim Warner donated our tree that we're going to light this weekend, it's a 18-foot Colorado blue spruce, and National Grid jumped right in and donated the lights. And along with many other sponsors. So we thank you, all those who contributed, and again, thank you, National Grid, for this.
Just want to make one quick announcement. The people, I know there's 5 people watching this, but maybe if you could tell 5 of your friends, and they can tell 5, it'd be really great, that don't put your leaves in the road. You bring them to the curb, not over the curb into the road. It presents very dangerous, hazardous driving conditions when they're wet. Thank
They can
you.
actually be ticketed for that, Bob, for
Can they?
putting debris in the roadway, correct?
Yeah, well, you're gonna be ticketed because it's really not fair to people that are using those roads. Thank you.
The resolutions for the moratorium, are they gonna be added on, or?
No, we're in the middle discussing it, and it's gonna take a while. We have to meet with the planning department. They produced
You're working
a
on the one
draft
with
yesterday
exemptions.
at 4:13.
Because I read 2 of them,
Yeah,
they sent them.
But that was a
Right,
draft.
but we
We haven't had, at 4:13 yesterday.
Okay.
So it has to be reviewed, but we are gonna
Okay.
put it up. If it's not this coming week, it'll definitely be on the
Okay.
following week. But it is on our radar, and there's some
Okay.
work that we're doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm working, also I've had one meeting with Jeff to discuss it, so we're working on it.
Yes. Okay, anyone else?
It's a New York blue spruce now, by the way. It's no longer a Colorado blue spruce.
It's a Riverhead
It's a
Blues.
Riverhead blue spruce now.
Yes, we own it. It's a sign of life and happiness. So thank you, everyone, and thank you,
The what?
Devin.
I'm sorry, what?
Thank you,
Oh,
Devin.
battery storage. What's with battery storage? How come we're walking it on?
Yeah, what happened to it?
Yeah, we have to do battery, yeah, we're ready. Battery storage.
Okay,
was
that
supposed
wasn't
to be on.
added on to, was that,
Those 3 resolutions weren't ready at the end of the day, Paul had back and forth, so that was gonna be discussed today, if at all.
Can we
okay,
do
but
that?
we didn't have it as part of the discussion.
Correct, no.
So we just don't have easy discussions like that because the public might look and say, we're not interested in that. However,
Wasn't for me to add on, so if the board wants to hear it or not, that's up to you.
again, when people look at the calendar, they might say, we want to listen to this, so we're cutting certain people out, we'll allow it this time. But really, what we announced that we're gonna speak about should be open to the public the day before. So we could,
I
I'll,
don't even know what this is about.
This is the
This is
battery storage
discussion.
code.
Oh.
Just be resolutions to schedule a public hearing.
Yeah, to schedule a public hearing essentially to renotice the battery storage law.
Okay.
I know this is what Bob had discussed, what, Bob was looking to going on.
so Devin, add that as a discussion later on.
We'll amend the agenda.
Yeah, but we tried, again, we let the
Yeah.
public know what we're
Give
gonna,
you a brief
instead of
summary of
last
what you
minute
see.
add-ons.
Yeah.
No,
It's
you
not
know
fair
what?
to the
No,
public.
I mean, we
But try.
tried to get this on last night, and for whatever reason, didn't get on.
Okay. So we'll go through it this time,
Yeah, so
you
apologies
wanna
for,
come up here, or you-
whatever you want to do, I can speak here or there.
wherever you're comfortable, how's that?
This is fine, this is
Okay,
good.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, for whatever the confusion was, this is to renotice the battery storage law. This is substantially the same as the battery storage law that this town board had a public hearing on August 16th. There was never a move for a notice of adoption. We had met with the town attorney's office and made some not substantial changes, just a couple clarifications on languages. The numbers changed where this is going to go, but we did realize we'll need to change 2 other sections of the code. It's attachment 2 and attachment 3. Attachment 2 is the residential table of dimensional regulations, and attachment 3 is the commercial district table of dimensional regulations. So it'll be adding it as a footnote. Pretty much, it's very small to what you can see. It'll have a note on each zone where this is allowed by special permit. And it'll say, tier 2 battery energy storage systems are subject to the requirements of this code section. Just because it has its own setbacks, it has its own lot coverage, it doesn't follow the dimensional regulations. And in the interest of being open with the public, that's why we're noticing all 3, because you can't really do one without the other 2.
Right, it makes sense to be
Yeah. So this,
tighten it all up in one package.
correct, yeah.
So
And this,
again, we'll have to put this on, because the public is not aware of it.
Yeah.
And Devin, can you take this for,
Yes, I'll take care of it.
yeah, so
make sure
the,
that copy is put online?
just so everybody understands, it's not an adoption next week, it's simply to publish and post for a public hearing.
Okay,
2:15 on the 20th, and they should, would be my recommendation that they're heard all at the same time, because, like I said, you can't do one without the other. Yes, Bob?
So Matt, what I'd like to do, and, I did this with the cannabis code as well, when we're talking about, distances, right?
Yep.
I'd like to sit with a map and look at where these things would actually land.
Yeah, which we had done that in the initial stages back in the spring when we looked at this for work
Right.
session. We identified, especially, it's a little bit harder for the industrial zones because it's allowed in a lot of places.
Correct.
We did specifically do it where it's allowed in residential zones, which in the draft, it's permitted by special permit in APZ and RA80 as long as it's within 1,000 feet of an existing substation. So we did identify a few parcels where it could be. It's not a substantial amount of parcels. I believe there's
That's where I'm going.
3, 5.
Right, I'm concerned about, because it gives the farmers an opportunity, right, to lease some land for battery storage. So what I want to look at is exactly that 1,000 feet to me may not be enough. Does 2,000 get them more? You know what I'm saying? I'd like to look at that before.
Yeah, and I mean, any change to that, Bob, would, if we're gonna make that would be considered a substantial change, so that would require a public hearing if we're gonna change from 1,000 to 2,000.
If it's necessary to help out agriculture, then I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
So you can add that to the public hearings.
Well,
It's gonna require 3 public hearings, correct?
Well, we have a draft code, which is to add as a supplementary use, and then we have 2 notations to add in each section. But what Bob is speaking to, I believe it would be a change to the code as drafted. So it either, we've had it as 1,000 feet essentially the whole time. So if we have a public hearing on 1,000 feet in a residential zone for that radius requirement, and then if we come to a notice of adoption and want to change it to 2,000 feet, that's a substantial change. So that would have to have another public hearing.
Well, why can't we do it the same day as the,
We'd have to notice a 4th public hearing with a different version of the supplementary.
So we could do it at the same time
At the same time.
we're adding these. We don't have to.
If that's what if the board wants to see 2 versions of the supplementary code, and then that's up to the board, I mean, yeah, we'd have to redo, with that regard, we'd have to redo seeker as well, yeah.
Our recommendation is just to keep it as is for now, and if we need to, we can come back at a later date.
And make an amendment?
And make an amendment, that might be an easier lift.
Okay.
And less confusing.
and we can discuss that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
the easy path is the best path, right?
For now.
Okay.
For now.
For now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have that, what you see in front of you now is the code, the attachments, and the draft resolutions. Obviously, they reference the 20th, because as the supervisor said, it was past the date, but those will be changed by Diane.
All right, so we'll have 3 separate hearings on the same day.
Correct.
That'll be
But,
great.
Yeah,
Put
to
them
her
all
together, yep.
And then we'll notice it.
You have it all there,
That's
yeah.
gonna take a couple of weeks. Okay, good.
Okay,
Okay,
I think that's it.
so you got some work to do.
Yeah, it's all
Create a
set.
resolution.
Oh, they're all ready.
You are? Okay.
They're all ready.
Thank you, Matt. This concludes the open session portion of this work session for today, and in a moment, I'm going to ask you for first and second to go into executive session to discuss the following. First is personnel, matters surrounding disciplinary matters of an employee, and that would be with Heger Miller. And then there's a litigation matter on matters surrounding litigation between Schaff versus Town of Riverhead, ZBA, and that will be with Howard and Thomas. And can I please have a first and a second to go into executive
So
session
moved.
today?
Second.
Thank you. Everyone, we hope to see you this weekend at the tree lighting, and be safe, and enjoy your weekend, and stay dry tomorrow.
Yeah, calling for a 70% chance.